Hi my vintage loves, today I have something really special for you. I'm going to show you how to use good old-fashioned pancake makeup. It's not something that you see around a lot anymore, and I learned how to use it and I thought it was really interesting to just see how it wears, how it looks on the skin, and how they used to do it back then. It's kind of a process, it's a bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, it's really fun, it's not that hard, and it's just a really cool thing to know how to do and have in your back pocket. I'm wearing it now, so you can see this, how it looks with everything else going on. And a little history on it. It was invented by Max Factor, who invented so many other things. You probably know the name from his makeup line, which is unfortunately no longer sold in the US, but it is still sold in Europe. But he was the makeup artist in Hollywood in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. He created so many looks, so many faces that are classics and icons. And Pancake is one of his biggest inventions. It was invented because before that they used grease paint, which would they used grease paint, which was grease and paint, and it would melt under the hot lights of film. So he needed to come up with something different, and he came up with pancake makeup, which is dry and is activated with water. And it did not melt under the hot lights on movie sets. And it was so popular among the actresses that they would steal it from his makeup table. So this happened enough that he figured that he needed to make it, so he did. And it first appeared in the Technicolor film Vogue of 1938, which was actually made in 1937, and it became available to the public in 1938. And it was one of the most popular makeup products of its time. Kind of revolutionized everything. So, some things to consider. It has a very, very flat finish. It's not dewy, it's not luminescent. There's nothing about it that's shiny. That was the whole point of it being made. It wasn't shiny. The good thing about this is its longevity is really good. I have oily skin, and most of the time modern foundations, no matter what I do, kind of start to just run after a little while. I've worn this a few times out and about. It doesn't move, it stays. So if you're looking for something with longevity and you really just want to give it a try, it's really good. The flip side of that is that it's very drying. So if you have dry skin, it might not be good for you. And even if you do have oilier skin or any kind of skin type, make sure your skin is super well moisturized and exfoliated, because if you have any dry skin or any patchiness, it's gonna hang on to that and it's gonna show up. So before you try it, moisturize the heck out of your skin. And also color matching can be very tricky. I'm quite fair and I'm wearing it right now, and this is Cinna Light Tan. I don't think I've ever been tan color any other range in my entire life. So when you're matching it, just keep that in mind. It's gonna dry a lot lighter than it looks in the packaging. So just keep that in mind when you're color matching. It's kind of a tricky product to find nowadays. As I mentioned, Max Factor isn't sold in the US anymore. It is sold in Europe, so if you're in Europe, maybe you can find the pancake makeup there. Here, Ben Nye makes it and Mehron makes it. They call it Color Cake Makeup by Ben Nye. I'm not exactly sure what it's called in the Mehron line, but it is sold at Alcone in New York, and also Alcone, you can buy it online as well. Alcone has pretty much everything you'll need. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the application, and through movie magic, I'm going to appear with no makeup on. And here I am, ready to apply the pancake makeup. It's a bit of a process, kind of a bit of a learning curve, but once you get it, it's very easy. It's dry when it comes, and what you want to do is you need a sea sponge, which you can buy from pretty much any art supply store will have them. This is kind of a big one. You can have one smaller if you need to. So you want to wet it. I have a little bowl of water right here. I'm getting it really, really wet. And you want to So you want to leave the sponge pretty wet. And you're just going to move it around in the pancake makeup. This is kind of, since we don't really do this kind of stuff anymore with makeup, this is kind of part of the learning curve. The more water you add, the thinner the makeup will be, and therefore a lighter application you'll have. And don't be afraid to just really kind of work it in there. And you want to go until you kind of have kind of a paste, like a foundation, cream foundation-like consistency. You don't have to have a bowl of water. I do it in my sink when I'm doing it. And it's gonna absorb a lot of water, so don't be afraid to like really like put quite a bit of water in it. Okay. So this feels pretty good. So you can see it's kind of like a creamy consistency. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start applying this to my face. And you wanna dab. I'm gonna dab all over your face where you want coverage. I don't know how you can see, but it looks kind of dark on my skin. Put some more on there. It's gonna look really funky. I'm gonna zoom in so you can kind of see like just how kind of funny this looks. It doesn't go on perfectly like we're used to foundation just gliding on nowadays. And you really wanna get it in all your nooks and crannies. I'm putting a little bit more on. Get under the eye. I mean, this is not cute. So don't be afraid when you're putting it on. If you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? This does not look good. Just stay with it. Oh. Trying to get in your lips. If you want an area with a little more coverage, make sure and kind of like give it a little more love. I'm having a bit of a breakout on my left cheek, so I'm going to cover that up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see like just how weird this looks. And it feels very wet on my skin right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for this to dry. It's not cute. I look kind of orange, I look kind of weird. It looks kind of splotchy and gross, but this is part of the process. So you can see, and I'm waiting for it to dry. This had a bit of water in it, so it's gonna take probably like 30 seconds to a minute for it to dry. And you're gonna feel it evaporating, you're gonna feel it tightening on your face. Give it about 30 seconds to a minute. And once it's about 95% dry, you're gonna move on to the next step. And I have worn this out and about, and once you get the hang of it, and it looks really, really beautiful, and it looks amazing on pictures. When I've done this for classes I've taught, or even on myself, or on friends, when I see it in pictures, I'm always like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's like an Instagram filter without the filter. It's really amazing, and you understand how those movie stars look so amazing in all the pictures and under the lights and everything. I'm still waiting for it to dry. It's getting there though, another 10 seconds I think. So yeah, this is not the final step. Don't be scared, keep going. I'm gonna wait a little bit, a few more seconds. Okay, so I can feel it tightening. You don't want it to feel like a mud mask or anything, but you definitely want to feel kind of like a tightening. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm taking a flat top brush or kind of like a densely packed makeup brush. Something like this is good. Something like this would be good. I like the Maybelline one. It's actually a powder brush from Maybelline. But anything in this world is good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start buffing it out. And buff, and buff, and buff. Yeah. I love to think of Max Factor doing this on stars and starlets of the day. And I love to think of women at home doing this too. Like their entire life kind of transformed by Pancake makeup. to get this up into my hairline. Okay, so it's looking better now. It's not 100%, and it is sticking a bit to my cheeks where I've had some acne issues, but you can see it's smoothing out a lot better. And I'm actually still not super happy with this particular color choice for myself. I would actually like it if it were a bit lighter, but it certainly looks better than when I first put it on. At least I hope so. So you can see, how it's smoothing out. Hope you can see that. Okay. All right, so the next step is you're gonna take a clean powder puff. This is Kokendo. Any wonderful soft powder puff will work fine. So just take it when it's clean and just go ahead and buff some more. Buffing is your friend. I mean, this is certainly more time-consuming and multi-step, multi-layered than modern foundation, but I think it's really fun to do something like this and really see what the finish is and what they were working with back in the day. I'm assuming that the formulation hasn't changed that much. I don't know for sure, but I think it's remained pretty much the same. Unfortunately, they don't sell Max Factor in the US anymore. I believe you can still get it in Europe. So if you're in Europe, I would go try and find some Max Factor pancake makeup. I think people still do use Max Factor. They still use pancake makeup for things like dance performances and body makeup. It lasts a very long time. That's one of the really nice things about it, is that once it's on, it really doesn't move, which is why it was invented. So it makes sense. So the next step is to take a powder. This is a lovely powder from T. Leclerc. I just got it. You can see how pretty the packaging is. I just got this, and any loose powder will do. It doesn't need to be fancy or anything, but anything you like. I'm actually using one with a little bit of a pink tint, just for fun. They were a bit more into tinted powders back then, but a universal translucent is also totally, totally fine. So I'm really just like loading up the brush here, loading up the puff here, sorry. And really get it in there. Don't be afraid of powder. And then I'm just going to work that into the puff. Okay, and I'm going to buff it in. More buffing. If you do find that you chose a pancake shade that's too light for you, this would be a good time to use a warmer powder, a deeper powder color, to maybe warm it up a little bit and get it closer to your skin tone if you happen to have a warm powder at home. Okay, so you can kind of see that, like, with each layer of buffing, it really just smooths out more and more. So if you're not happy with how it's looking at any one particular spot, like, just go in and buff some more. A little bit more powder. And also buffing your face with a powder puff just feels nice. I don't actually use powder puffs much in my work. I'm more of a powder brush girl, but puffs are fun to use. I have to say the Kokendo, which is a Korean makeup brand, this is the softest powder puff I've ever used, and I absolutely love it. I think the softer powder puff you can use, the better. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. And you can see it's very, very matte. It's not the dewy, moist, finish that we're used to nowadays. So just be aware of that. It was made to absorb light. It was made to be flat. So you can add highlight later if you want a more modern look, but this is what it was meant to do. And it really just, I'm now made up. I am now pancaked, very flat. And I'm gonna go ahead and put on the rest of my makeup so you can kind of get a sense of what it would look like with a full face of makeup. Okay, so we're done. This is a full face with pancake makeup. I think it looks really nice, and you get a sense of that, the kind of flatness of it and how that kind of works into the entire look of that era. Late 30s through 40s was kind of the high point for pancake makeup. In the 50s, cream makeup came in and pancake became less popular, but you can really see what it looked like, and I think that's a really fun way to see it. I have worn this out, like I said. I'm gonna go out after this, and it photographs really, really beautifully, and I hope you get to try it. And if you do, please let me know how it worked out for you and how your learning curve was using the pancake makeup. And I really hope this is very helpful for you and educational. So let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to see, let me know below if there's anything else you'd like to see me try. And please follow us below, subscribe below if you haven't already, and follow us on Instagram at My Vintage Love Blog for more pictures and more fun. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.